So today I'm going for a hike in my backyard. We own 57 acres in Cibola County, and today I'm just going to go for a little walk, show you guys what it's like where I live, what the land's like, maybe some of the cool rocks. If we're lucky, we might find a cave we could go in. So I'm just going to go ahead and take you along on this journey today. It's not going to be some extravagant cliff dwelling, super crazy journey. It's just going to be a nice leisure stroll through the backyard. So I hope you enjoy. I'm just going to enjoy a nice little walk. Thought I'd bring you along. Thanks for coming. This right here is the roughest part of the trail, and you can see that the boulders are really loose everywhere, and vehicles can't really make it up here, which is a good thing because none of the trees are cut down. There we go. And right there is the Zuni Mountains. And this mesa that we're on right now is called Black Mesa. So we're gonna scramble up this Nar and see if we could get to a little bit better place. I kind of want to take you up to the ridge, check out the ridge for a while, maybe look off of the top. We'll see. So it's definitely getting hot. It's about 90 degrees out here. I do get a little bit of cloud cover from time to time, but when the clouds aren't covering the sun, it is absolutely scorching out here. But we are on our way right there. Sometimes the clues of the past come in a very small package. So sometimes I like to look within an ant pile. And if you look in ant piles, sometimes you could see little specks of obsidian and chert and all kinds of stuff, which tells you that there's something buried there. So we're a little bit closer to our destination, and I'm starting to find just a little bit of lithic. That was just a little piece of obsidian. And that little piece of obsidian is definitely something that somebody was chipping off of a larger rock trying to make a cutting tool. And these are archaic. They are old. Sometimes we find pieces of Clovis points, but we've never found a whole Clovis point. And we find a whole lot of broken Native American arrowheads, but they're always broken because this was a hunting ground, and you rarely find whole arrowheads where there's a hunting ground. So anyway, we're heading straight for that ridge. Alright, this is another piece of Paleolithic. You can see the little bowl of percussion there. And it's just small signs that I follow. And it just seems like most of the time that you find these little flint scatters. It's usually a really peaceful area. So I usually look for these little flint scatters and then just try to put together the story. A little piece of, I thought that was an arrowhead. Just a little piece of chert. And here's a little piece of chert. And this chert comes from the Zuni Mountains. The Zuni Mountains had a lot of different kinds of chert. Looks like this was actually a little scraper. If you look right there, you can see where they chipped the end of it. So yeah, a little scraper, probably for hides. I would say that would be perfect for taking the inner skin off a rabbit hide. And that's probably what that was for. But anyway, we found a little tool in my backyard. It was just a percussion flake, and they worked down on the end there. I don't know how well you can see it, but these are interesting to me because that traveled at least 40 miles. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, I just wanted to show that little scraper. I didn't know it was a scraper when I picked it up. I just saw a piece of chert sticking out of the ground. That's obviously worked. So we're gonna go ahead and leave it here. I think I spotted a piece of agate here. Oh yeah. Yeah, a piece of agate. I really like the lithics you find in some places. And you never know how far this came from. I mean, the obsidian, it's right here naturally, but agate like this is not a typical thing for this mesa. So if you go across into the Zuni Mountains, there's no agate like this. The closest agate I know of like this is near Acoma, Sky City. And yeah, it's on the reservation or on tribal land, so nobody really has permission to go there. So anyway, a piece of pretty cool agate. Right, it's a little bit after 4:20, and I just made it up to the ridge. I could either go up this route, or I could go up the route there at the end. I don't know if you can see right there, there's a little trail that goes up, and there is not another way down all the way till over here. That looks way more rocky, a little bit more treacherous. We might actually come down that way and go up that way. I've been up here hundreds of times, but every time is absolutely fantastic. So thanks for coming along. If you're still watching, then you probably just really like to see the beautiful view. I agree. And like I said, some of the lithics are really small. You got to think of hundreds of years of people collecting arrowheads and lithics and picking up neat rocks. A lot of this stuff goes, and that's probably a piece of the agate that I had found earlier. Just another little piece, and this is actually Zuni spotted chert. And there's the cortex side. When you find this stuff, you cannot tell what it is. It just looks like a big piece of limestone. You chip into it. This one looks raw, but whenever you cook this stuff, it gets really, really shiny. Really shiny and real glassy. It's a really, really fun stone to work with. I find that in scatters really, really often. So, anyway, sometimes the stuff comes in a small package, little tiny pieces of the story. Alright, for all the rock hounders out there, just want to give you a quick little lesson. If you're near any really good rocks, sometimes you'll be able to see them in the ant pile. Like this ant pile has little tiny lithic flakes and a little piece of obsidian there. But if you look even closer, there's these little crystals. And about 5 miles away from here, there is a volcano throat that has crystals like this, but actually larger. They're very, very hard to find, and they're even harder to retrieve. But a lot of times these ant piles will give up what kind of rocks are around. Like this is a little piece of sanidine, a little piece of orthoclase feldspar. And there's a lot of feldspar here, but almost all of it is super, super tiny. And every once in a while, I'll find a green piece. So when I'm looking through the ant piles, if I see some good pieces of feldspar that look kind of big, and that one actually looks pretty decent. I mean, for an ant pile rock, I mean, that's like 1/4 of a carat. So, but this is technically a type of sunstone or yellow moonstone, and depending on what inclusions it has, sometimes it has copper and it'll put out a copper schiller just like regular sunstone from Oregon. But all of the stones near my house are super, super, super small, so I have to travel, several miles away, about 7 miles away, to go get larger stones that are big enough to cut. And they just are too hard to retrieve because a lot of these stones are actually stuck in the matrix, and the matrix is basalt. So in order to get them out of the basalt, you have to really, really work hard at it all day. So anyway, the ants, they are master miners, masterminds. So anyway, whenever I'm out rock hounding, I check the ant piles and see what's in there. Sometimes you'll see pyrite, sometimes you'll see little specks of crystals, sometimes I find small little tiny Herkimer diamonds. And yeah, it'll give you a good clue of what kind of rocks are around you. Another little lithic piece right here. This is some chert that came from the Zuni Mountains as well. And most of the chert that's in the Zuni Mountains is super freeze cracked, so if anybody thinks about going to the Zuni Mountains thinking they're going to find some good chert, it is very, very, very hard to find good chert in the Zuni Mountains for napping. Much of it's really, really nice looking, but most of it cannot be napped because of freeze cracks. So it's not a good place to find napping material, although once in a while I look out and I'll find something big enough to nap on. So, if you could imagine back in the Native American days, you could have easily stashed a little something right up in there and then come back for it later. So, that's the kind of places I like to look whenever I'm out and about, because every once in a while you'll get surprised at what's in one of these little nooks, whether it be an animal or whether it be a bottle. There's been a lot of strange things I found in those nooks. So anyway, watch out, be careful, and if you look in those nooks and you see something, by all means just leave it there. Another small sign that I look for. See, we're in nothing but basalt, surrounded by basalt everywhere. So there's these pieces of sandstone here that were brought in from somewhere, and they're all in one little spot right here, as if maybe somebody had brought in their little sandstone portable oven stove and maybe put it on top of some charcoals, and perhaps it just malfunctioned after time. So anyhow, there's all these pieces of sandstone that are absolutely not natural to this vicinity. You can see another one right here sticking out. There it is, and that's super, super, super silky smooth. Absolutely smooth. So this was a piece of a grinding stone or metate, and this side is actually super smooth where it's not weathered. Super silky smooth. So this is a paleo metate or grindstone. This was here before anybody had ever made pottery in this area. And so people have been using metates and grindstones for a long, long, long time. So it's probably one of the first artifacts that have ever been made. And yeah, that might be a contested statement, but I actually believe it. I believe it. Here's another little piece of chert. This is Zuni Mountain chert. And yeah, we got Zuni Mountains right across the way. So that came from over there somewhere. And it's actually, this one looks more like an agate. So we'll put that one right back. And I think most of this land right here next to the ridge, I looked on Hunt X and it belongs to some mining company. And I figure if they don't want me up here, you know, they could come and tell me not to come up here. But then I'll just offer them money and tell them I'll pay them if I could come up here. Because I have been walking up here for 40 years of my life, and it would be really hard to stop. So anyway, you could see why. It's an absolutely beautiful place to be. And previous landowners that have passed away in the past had given me permission to be up here. But the landowners now, I know them a little bit, you know, so it's probably not a problem that I'm up here. I pick up trash and I take care of the place, and sometimes their goats get stuck up on the ridge and I have to go and get a rope and tie onto a tree and lower myself down and actually save a freaking goat, because nobody comes for the goat in like 3 damn days and he just sits there crying. When I get there, it smells like burnt hooves from the poor thing trying to get off the ledge. Keeps on slipping. So actually this little spot right in here, somewhere in here, is where goat gets stuck. And he's been stuck 3 times, and you know, people don't care as much about their livestock as I do, obviously, because I'll go trespassing onto their land or wherever I have to go to save their goat. So the last time it was just a baby goat stuck up here, and mama goat was staying with it. Well, when I came, I scared mama goat off, and she pushed baby goat off too. And they both fell about, I'd say 30 feet, and they bounded out of here. Baby goat was super tired, super exhausted. So yeah, one of my heroic journeys that I had living in this place. I tried to contact some of my neighbors for help, but they didn't care about the goat either. So I had to save the goat by myself. So anyway, on to the next part. Here's another little tiny sign, little piece of agate. And here is a piece of jasper that somebody was working thousands of years ago. And I think I'm going to keep this piece of jasper and see if I could make something out of it, because I actually like this piece of jasper quite a bit. And that's kind of a pretty piece. I might be able to make a small arrowhead out of this one, so I'm going to take that one with me. And there's a couple more little chips. There's this one. That one looks like a Zuni mountain rock for sure. And it's either chert or something else. Either way, another flake, another piece, and I'm keeping the jasper because just a pretty piece of jasper. So I walk up to this sandstone and it was on end, and I just went to feel it and it came out there, and you could see where it was a metate. You can see the concavity there from where they were grinding stuff. It's a little piece of one. I'm guessing that it used to be larger, like maybe that big, and then when it broke they just continued using this one. So I know some of these were originally a soft sandstone, and then whenever they would heat treat them in some way, they would get harder, and so they would shape them and sometimes make the bowl before they made it hard, and then they would heat treat it and make it harder so it would keep that bowl shape and it wouldn't wear down, and there wouldn't be as much rock that got in the flour and stuff, because if you get too much rock in your flour, it will wear down your teeth really quickly. So they had ways of making sandstone harder, and so they would work it into shape first, and then they would heat treat it and make it harder, more glassy, and then they would use it like that so it wouldn't wear down so much. Alright, so we're gonna walk up here, check out this rodent nest. And like we say in Generation X, we're gonna keep game on this rodent nest. See what's going on inside this thing. Like I said, sometimes I find bottles in them, because, you know, I think everybody who went through left something behind. And this has nothing but cactus. Let me try to get you in there a little bit. And to be perfectly honest, I think a lot of times when Native Americans had put pots or anything behind, I think the food inside them would have attracted rodents, and I think it would have given the rodents a foothold to make a nest like this. And yeah, there used to be so many artifacts because a lot of generations of native people came through, and so after thousands of years of people stashing stuff in little crevices and places to keep it dry, you know, they run out of dry places after a while, and then when the first people came through here, every dry place and every little cave and every little crevice had artifacts or something in them. And now, I mean, a lot of people have looted them. I mean, the sheep herders, they used to sell arrowheads and pots to the local trade stores, and they would get like $10 an arrowhead, and that was pretty good money in the 30s. And they would probably get up to $100 per pot, so they would find the pots and they would make better money selling the pottery that they found and the arrowheads than they would herding sheep.
So a lot of the sheep herders actually were the first looters of this land, and many of them were Navajo, many of them were from Acoma. And you know, whenever you got to feed your family and someone offers you money, you know, I think that, you know, it's kind of wise if you need to feed your family, especially nowadays. So anyway, the first looters were actually the sheep herders. So a lot of people looted stuff after that. I don't think the sheep herders really went and dug Indian ruins. They didn't dig burials or anything like that. But they often took the pottery that was just stashed under a little spot like that. And there were thousands of them. And now we have the towns taking over all the places that there used to be water, and that there used to be ancient people. But I mean, that's okay. I appreciate a lot of stuff about society, but I wish society would take time to listen to the past and bring some of the lessons forth. That's your deep lesson for the day. Okay, so I just barely turned around from that little spot right there. Like, just, you know, we were just looking right there underneath that, and I'm on a pretty steep hill. I mean, it's a down slope a ways that way down to the flat, and it's an up slope, really steep up to the cliff. And usually when you see these lycium, these thorn bushes, these are wild wolfberries, or New Mexico goji berries, Arizona goji berries. They go by a lot of names. But I was down right in here, and I saw a lithic right here. Just wanted to take it out and see if it was anything. A little bit of a reveal. I don't know. I doubt if it was any kind of tool, but man, that would be really handy if you needed something sharp. It's probably just one flake off of something. So we'll put it back. So anyway, when there's an agate lithic in basalt grounds, then you know that you're near some kind of ancient living quarters or hunting ground. Alright, so I just found a couple of jasper stones. And they're pretty small, but they're pretty cool. And this is one of them. I also found this really cool piece here. This is I'm not sure what it is. I always call it a agate. I call it imperial agate, New Mexico imperial agate. I don't really know what it is, but sometimes there's really larger chunks, and they have clarity and colors, and basically all the colors you see there. But if you look, it looks almost like it used to be wood. And I often find them where there's petrified wood. Like right here, you'll see like little granite. There's a little piece of granite. There's a little piece of granite here. A little piece of quartz. This is coming out from the bottom of the ridge. So the basalt was sitting on top of this, and this is what was here before the lava had came over. So every once in a while, when you could find some of it that comes out, there's some pretty neat little rocks that come out of it. Sometimes I find things that I could nap arrowheads out of. There's a flint right there, and that's just a regular sandstone. Some black onyx, another jasper. But yeah, that was definitely a cool stone. I really like these. Fun to find. Every time I find these colorful ones, I just kind of save them. So this one's going home with me. Okay, and even though some of the cactus are starting to come back to life. You can see how a lot of them have died. A lot of the cactus has been getting eaten by the animals when everything else dries up. So if you look out that way, and that is Almalpais National Monument way out there. Right about there is Acoma Sky City, and Acoma Land, and Sky City's just right over the ridge. And Acoma is right there, right on that ridge line all the way back to about there. And then this is Highway 117 way out here, right next to Almalpais. And then we have my house right down here, and my neighbor's house, my other neighbor's house. They don't really know how to live in the woods that good. They try to burn trash during no fire season, no burn season and stuff. And then all of their trash is beer cans and diapers, and it makes for a horrible smell. You know, I could take the smell of some cardboard, but beer cans and diapers are just kind of a rough smell. So anyhow, we have some cactus here. This is a Coccinus variety. Echinocerius coccinus, Trichocerius coccinus. And this one is looks like it gets purple spines during the winter, and then during the summer they kind of yellow up. So if you look in here, you can see how some of them are still a little bit purple. So during the winter, the spines kind of hang down a little more, and they turn purple, and it gets a little bit shriveled up. And the winters around here get down to like sometimes -20 Fahrenheit, and that's pretty cold, and this cactus survives it. And not only that, sometimes it grows really giant clumps. So I can't just walk past the cactus without admiring its beauty. Thanks for admiring its beauty with me. I don't typically film dead shit, but here's a dead thing here. I don't know what it is. It looks like it must have been a dog. Either way, some kind of an animal head. I don't really care to concentrate on it too much, but yeah, somebody's animal got lost here. If you've ever seen any kind of gnarly place, if you've ever had to scramble, it's really nothing compared to this. This is the scrambliest and the gnarliest. Don't forget it. The scrambliest and the gnarliest. Yeah, I just made it to the top. I'm gonna climb up this little cut. I may have to put down the camera. Let's find out. Oh. This is one of those crevasses I always talk about. I mean, something like that would have gave some good shelter and some good cover. And yeah, I know there's a fellow on YouTube that something like rocks facing rocks, something like that, and he'll probably be watching. He likes arrowheads and stuff. It definitely looks like a bear or something. But yeah, beautiful moss formations and a beautiful crack in the rocks. And this is right before I get up, so this would have been on one of the old native trails that came up through here. And that is where we came from. Right down through in there. I just walked right up through here, all the way up into here. And yeah, house is over here. So I walked up from there, across that road, right up across there, up the fence line and the property line, and then walked across this flat, and then I scrambled up all this gnaw right here. It don't look very steep, but it's really steep. And now I'm right here. So I'm at the top. I'm gonna go ahead and take you to the top, and we could look off at my small village that I'm from. And it's actually quite nice, especially during the day. So thanks for coming this far. I mean, we already made it to the top. Pretty awesome. So anyhow, nobody came to kick me out yet, and if they do, I'm gonna offer them money. Alright, I'm gonna try to do this one-handed and see what happens. If I fall, you guys could help me, huh? So here we go. It looks pretty gnarly, but I've climbed it before. I was a little bit younger then, but I'm still pretty agile old fellow. I'm moving in on 48 years old I'll be this year, and I still get around pretty good. And somehow people find a way to get trash everywhere. I can't get the trash out. Anyway, there's trash in there. I'm not sure if an animal brought it up here, but yeah, it definitely won't come out. I like to put trash in my backpack and take it home with me, but this one's gonna stay. All right, I'm nearing the top. Let's see here. It's not as easy as it looks, and yeah, I'm pretty much right on the cliffside, but it's a lot of good handholds. I mean, you can't really slip as long as you're keeping your hands planted. So just hook my ankle up here, hook my knee up here, and just kind of roll up like an old man. And that's probably the safest way if you're ever going to be rock climbing. Don't try to get crazy. Don't try to make it extreme. Just enjoy the calmness of it. So anyway, I scrambled up the gnar. Now I came up the cliff, and it's a pretty high cliff. I mean, we're not low. It's like 60 feet. It gets higher around the corner. So anyway, here's another flat below, neighbor's house. And the village of Milan. It's a pretty nice village, especially during the day. Another thing I wanted to share is if you look at this rock, it has a shiny texture to it. You can see the shininess right here. Zoom in on it and try to capture it. And this is from hundreds of people putting their foot here to climb up. And you can see where they stepped here, and then you can see this one right here is really, really smoothed off. And I've often thought that the ancient people, whenever they had a cave that they stayed in often, it would get like this at the mouth of the cave. And I figured it was from dragging wood across these little rough knobs, and the wood and the action and all the steps and everything going over them for years would just abrade it down. So this is like a little handle I have to grab onto right here. I hit it, make sure it's not, I don't want to fall down. It's a little distance, so I'm gonna put my foot in that shiny spot. There we go. You could tell that many people have done that before. All right, we're up. And what do you know? Big white rock chilling right here. Just a piece of quartzite, which is pretty neat. Alright, so we're on top. I'm going to go ahead and take you a little bit further up so you could see what it looks like on the very top. But this right here is Gallo Peak, and just down from it, right in there, is San Rafael. It was the first town in this area, and Milan and Grants is around the corner. But San Rafael was the first town, even though it's a smaller town now. You got Milan and you got Grants around the corner, which are both basically existent because of San Rafael. So San Rafael was the first town, and you can see it way back over in here somewhere right there. Let me see if I could zoom in on it. Yeah, there's San Rafael right there. So that was the first town in this place, and it kind of spawned all of this. And then we have Gallup, 45 minutes that way, actually about an hour. We'll have Through, New Mexico, is about 45 minutes, and then Gallup's almost an hour. And so, anyhow, it was my old school right here. It's where I went to school when I was young. From kindergarten to 12th, or from kindergarten till 6th grade, when I was 12 years old. So that's where I used to play baseball, right there with my friends. A lot of those friends don't exist anymore. So anyway, we'll get to the top, see what it looks like up here. So even though I never find crystals near my house, I still look a little bit, and I have found a couple of small ones, but not big enough to cut into jewelry or anything. So anyhow, here's the top of the mesa, and we got to see Mount Taylor right there. That's always a beautiful sight. We have like a little sinkhole area right in here, like a crack in the mesa. You can see the crack continues all the way over to the edge. Sometimes there's really big caves underneath those. Okay, so let's get a better view of the mountain here. Alright, there we are. Okay, you could see that little white spot right there. That place is a mine, and it is the throat of a volcano. And I did a short video there a couple of weeks ago. And the cool thing about that place is it has little garnets and small topaz. And so if you ever make it over there, that's also the place where I found sunstone. So there's not much, and it's super hard to retrieve it because it's in really hard basalt. But anyway, very beautiful area. This right here, that's called Horace Mesa, and it comes all the way out to right there. That's the end of it. And so the mesa that I'm on is Black Mesa, and that's the end of Horace Mesa going up to the mountain. On this left side, this is La Jara Mesa, right here poking up. You see its little butte there. Got like 2 cerros right there. And so the CDT hiking trail, it comes up like, let's see, right in here somewhere, and goes up on the mountain. And the CDT comes from way out there, comes into Grants. So anyway, this is my backyard. I'm gonna cruise over to the ledge and take a look off of it. There's another sinkhole. It's right next to the ridge. See, there's a lot of empty caverns right underneath the ridge. And so sometimes when it rains, the rain will find its way into one of those empty places, and it'll make one of these sinkholes like this. You can see it right there. So anyhow, let's head off over to this ridge. Oh, here's one of my friends. My friend. I don't know what kind of bird that is, or if you've even seen it. It could be an eagle, it could be a hawk. I have no idea. I can't ever get a close enough look, but I always hope it's an eagle. If it comes back through, I'll try to film it again. Alright, for every hike, I like to find the perfect little perch and the perfect little park area, if you will. And there's a cave going down in right there. It is all full of pack rat stuff, so I don't go in caves that have too much pack rat stuff because it's just scary. But we'll poke the camera in there and see what it looks like. This looks like pack rat stuff. So anyway, there's some pretty cool formations in the rock here. And I have my eye on this little perch right here. And I'll probably stop there and have me a piece of bread, because I make fry bread before I come out. But it is a high place, so what I need to do is be a little bit careful. If I fall down, you guys aren't going to be able to reach me. You won't be able to catch me. If you call 911, you won't be able to tell them where I'm at. You could say, oh, somehow his video made it here. Anyway, this is a pretty cool little spot here. Kind of like the way it looks. Just look straight down. Poke the camera off. That way. There's the ridge. And the ridge goes around the corner that way. So anyway, we made it to the top. My favorite little place is right down in this little area here. I just kind of like to wander around right there. There's hardly ever wind there, so I like to hang out in the places that have no wind in these spots. I like to just enjoy the windless areas. So I'm going to go back down the way that I came. One more look down the cliff. Yeah, I mean, it's not the highest cliff in the world. It's only like 80 feet from here, but it is rugged and it is rough. And it used to be worse whenever there was a lot of foliage. There would be a lot of thorn bushes, a lot of cactus, and a lot of shrubs. And since the drought's been happening, it's been slowly receding. So a lot of ground that we couldn't see before because it was covered in plants is now exposed, so we get to look at it just a little bit better. Like all of these sand flats right here used to just be grass, sagebrush, and yeah, just tons and tons of cactus. And now it's just bare sand. So the drier it gets, the worse it gets. And here comes my bird friend again. Let's see if I could zoom in on him. So if you can see what kind of bird that is, um, feel free to drop it in the comments, because I don't know what he is. They're pretty and they're big. They're pretty big. He's way down there now, looking for some rabbits or some pack rats or something. He's already 2 miles away. So anyway, him and his family, they all live right here on the ridge, so I see them quite often, and they're kind of used to me. So maybe one of these days I'll bring them some food and try to make a friendship offering. See if I could get a little bit closer to them. But anyway, I'm gonna climb back down, and I'll probably start filming again when I get down to one of these little spots right here. And this is the kind of crystals that I look for really big ones elsewhere. And this is a piece of sanidine. Oh, I lost it. There's a tiny one. But yeah, there's another small piece. Some of it's not very pure, but some of it's super, super pure. I don't know what happened to that little piece. Oh, there it is. So anyway, this is sanidine. It is a relative to moonstone. You could even see the schiller in it. It's got some little schillers going on. But this is so tiny that you could hardly do anything with it. And this is as big as the stones come in my area, out towards a place called El Moro, just south of Grant. They have green ones, which is called peridot. I don't know what some people call it. Oh look, I found another little crystal here. And so all the crystals in my area are really small like this. But this is a valuable stone. I just don't have any in my area that are big enough to make jewelry. So if I travel 7 miles from here, I find bigger ones. Yeah, it's probably about the biggest one that I would find on my property, or on my neighbor's property, or on the mine's property. But like I said, this isn't big enough to make jewelry out of. But you can see the schiller in there. Some of it's got really nice rainbows. And I mean, they're just really pretty little crystals. But they're super, super rare. And the biggest ones are 7 miles to the east of my place, which is on the Little Mesa, or the volcano throat that I had pointed out earlier. So anyway, alright, so a lot of times when you're walking on these ridges, sometimes you don't quite remember the way down. But this place, is the strategic white rock. And if you look just a little further over here, there is another strategic white rock right there. So that's a white piece of quartzite. And on this side, white piece of quartzite. And then the way down is right here in between. And this is where I came up. So I'm gonna go ahead and climb down without the camera this time. So I have this gnar and that gnar and that scramble, and I'm gonna go around the corner and follow the ridge that way. So that's what we're gonna do. So anyhow, this is the way down. Heading that way now. Don't even look that steep, huh? Alright. So we're only about 6 feet up now. Alright. I made it down the cliff. It's not that bad. It's just kind of, I don't know, it's more fun than anything really. So anyway, I'm gonna go around the corner this way. I'm gonna go check out the cliff for a while, because I grew up here. I think that it's probably one of the nicest places I've ever been. The road coming up just down the way, that road there is called Enchanted Mesa Road, and this is not Enchanted Mesa, but it is very enchanted nonetheless. So let's go ahead and check out what's around the corner. Almost lost my footing there. This is where the cliff gets super tall, right around the corner here. And we were right on top. I had you right on top right there, looking off right there. And it don't look very tall when you're on top of it. But when you're below it, it starts looking super tall. Alright, and this is still pretty rough stuff that I'm walking through. It's kind of like a trail, but only the goats maintain it, and the goats, they don't maintain the trail very good. Ugh. So most of the rocks are really loose and they move really easily, and that's where we're going. This is a little bit too high to jump. I'm gonna crouch down and I'm gonna jump. There we go. nice little nook here. Let's see here. There's a little piece of obsidian in this little nook. So I'm not the only one who thought it was a nice little nook. Somebody else thought it was a nice little nook as well. I get all the way in here, all the way back in the corner of it, and this is my view. And Gallo Peak right in the center. And again, some wolfberry bushes. So obviously people were here, and I think everywhere that they left excrement and they had been eating these bushes, I think the seeds would grow there. And I think that's why you find the bushes in large patches near ancient living grounds, is because that's where they would grow their crops, and that's where they would also fertilize their crops with their own excrement. And so back then, before they had prescription drugs and all that, their excrement was probably really good fertilizer. It probably didn't have like really a whole bunch of the viruses and really weird stuff from today. So whenever they would excrement in their garden, it would grow these little wolfberries, and they stay growing forever once they sprout. So if you find a group of these, that's most likely where a Native American group had a garden at one time. So this isn't really a large group, but you could tell that people were definitely hanging out in this little spot here. Let me see if I could get back and get a little bit of a look at it. It's like a nice little nook right here. Right there's where I found the obsidian. Right there's where I was sitting, and then from up top you can't really get rain into that area, so it stays continuously dry right there. And this right here is dayflower, and it actually don't have any flowers on it right here, but it has a little root that is super edible and super nutritious. And just remember what it looks like, because when it finally does get flowers, it has like a little pouch, and little blue flowers come out of the little purse pouch thing. So this one's not flowering yet, but when it does, it'll have little blue flowers coming out of a pouch. So that's edible food right there out here in the wild. Here is a henbane derivative. It's kind of a similar plant to henbane. Super toxic, super poisonous. It's related to like Jimson weed, but it's also related to potatoes. So super, super toxic stuff. Don't ever eat anything that looks like that. It will kill you, and it will make you wish you were die, even if you don't die. So don't eat it. No. Okay, so I'm looking up into this little cave, and I can't tell if that's a piece of wood or if it's a rock. So I have to go and look to see if it's a piece of wood right there or if it's a rock. Looks like it could be a rock. Alright, and this is what I was telling you earlier about the crystals in my area. This is how the biggest ones form, even though this one's not pure. This one's closer to like a labradorite or something. But these are all feldspar. Look right there, that's another feldspar. So, some of these crystals get super big and super pure, but only in certain areas. So if you could imagine trying to chisel through this hard basalt to get that little stone out, but if you find the right stone, this stuff is worth more than gold. So it is worth chiseling out if you find the right stone. Alright, so I thought that might be a stick, but I got close enough and it's actually just a really flat rock sticking out of the crack there. So I'm not gonna go any further up there. I'm gonna go back down right here, and I'm gonna enjoy my little picnic spot that I like to go to, and I'm gonna bring you along with me. This is just a little cavette, or cavette, whatever you want to call it. But there's animal bones and stuff that comes out of here. Pieces of wood. I'm gonna try to get up here if I can without breaking my camera. Alright. Now that we made it up in here, you can see that it is really loaded with pack rat stuff. But if you look, there's like bones. And that looks like a old sheep, maybe a bighorn sheep or a ram or something like that. Alright, and this is looking out over the town. You got Gallo Peak over there. You got the town. And my house is just right there. So, got a nice little cave thing going on here. It's completely engulfed with bushes. So anyhow, I'm gonna start heading back down towards another place now, and I will try to shoot another shot or two before I go home. This is my 2 keeper stones for the day. This pretty agate, Imperial New Mexico agate, and I have this bubblegum agate, like beautiful flint. It doesn't look like much from the outside, but I know for sure that whenever I cut that open, it's going to make me 2 nice slices, and I'm going to be able to make 2 to 3 arrowheads with this rock. And this one, I might try to make a cab with it. I don't know, it looks like it's pretty holy, so I don't really like cabbing holy stuff, but I might try it anyway. We'll see. Here's my little piece of sunstone from earlier. Super small. It doesn't react much with no sunshine. This is my hemp seed fry bread, made out of all organic material. It's made out of sorghum flour, all organic sorghum flour, sorganic hemp hearts, and organic corn flour. Also organic sunflower cocoa oil, and also olive oil. So that's all in that bread. organic sugar, cane sugar. And yeah, really, really good. This is what I take to keep my energy up when I'm hiking, because the hemp seeds are loaded with protein. You can't really see many of them in there right now, but they're in there. So the hemp seeds will keep you energetic all day long, and they don't have the same kind of fat that meat has. So you don't have like a lazy kind of I'm finished for the day after you're done eating it, like meat. Even beef jerky kind of makes you a little bit lazy, sluggish, but hemp seed bread, it keeps your energy up. So yeah, I'm not going to share my exact recipe, but if you just play around, you'll probably find one. All right, that was my little luncheon spot right here, all in the shrubs and in the bushes. I just sit on this little rock right here, enjoy my bread. That way back in there is where the pack rat nest is. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave now, but I gotta go through all of this in order to get back to the flats. Unless I go back the unadventurous way, which we came up, which was right in here. But I think I'll go ahead and go the adventurous way through all of this rough stuff. So let's go ahead and make our way through some of this. Huge boulders. Huge boulders. A lot of these boulders still have little bits of feldspar in them. You can see every one of these little glittery spots is feldspar. None of them are crystallized enough to make a really good collectible stone. But let's go ahead and make it down in here. A neat little cave down in there with sunshine coming through the other side. So I'm gonna go ahead and start heading down to my house. The sun is starting to go down. You can see one of the most beautiful sunset regions in the world right here in New Mexico. And today is just as spectacular as ever. So I'm gonna start heading down with the sun. So anyhow, we got to go up there today. I took you guys right there. And now we're back down here. And if I see anything interesting on the way home, I'll go ahead and video it. But if you watch this far, thanks for coming. So occasionally I find a little cave up on the cliff, like that one right there. You see it right there. So anyway, the strange thing about this cave, it looks like I could probably, is this cave here. I would have to drop down with a rope to get to it. But there's a strange rock sitting here on top of this rock. It would have taken a lot of effort to get right. So the memory in my phone is fading, and I only have 5 more minutes of footage. Have a good one.